Alright humans, so this video is more of a kickback and relax video as I go over some general tips and tricks of writing more readable and legible racket code following a style guide, and where to ask for help, and the steps that you should take before asking for help, right? So let's just get started. I'm just going to write out an expression right here. Let's see, minus 5, 4. I often see code written like this in Racket, and it's fine. If we hit Control R, it still runs. But it's not that legible. You should get into the habit of spacing out your arguments like so, alright? And you may think, wow, this is such a little thing, like who cares as long as it runs, right? Well, as you program a lot, we're going to be writing a lot of Racket code, it's going to be a mess that, it's going to end up to be harder to understand what's going on if you don't start keeping things neat and tidy. Alright, and I've mentioned this before earlier, but if statements, right, they can be spread out amongst multiple lines as long as the parentheses match up, right? So sometimes code is written like this, that's fine. Sometimes it's, better to write things in one line, but you can always just split them up in 2 lines, like so, and it's much easier to tell which one's the true branch and which one is the false branch, right? Another tip I have going forward, I'm pretty much repeating myself at this point, but parentheses really matter. So if we just type out this expression, let's see, I want this to be plus actually. So 6, 1, 3, and 9, right? So if we run this, we get 164, all right? But if we just do something like something tiny, let's say we're just going to put the 9 outside, right over here, well, the answer is going to change drastically. So again, you need to develop a keen sense of spatial awareness, and you have to be aware of what you're doing, right? Because small changes can lead to drastic effects on the resulting answer, right? So you got to be really meticulous when you program. The last tip I have about editing in Racket is that it won't insert any more closing parentheses than is necessary. So I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm going to do, let's see, the closing parentheses. It's not going to insert more until the end. So here's one. I'm going to type it out. There we go. It's saying, hey, I'm not going to insert one. I already have one. So I'm just going to move the cursor to the right, all right? Same with this one. I already have one. I'm not going to insert another one until the very end. So now we're at the very end. If I try to type a closing parentheses, it's going to add that unnecessarily, and you can see unnecessary parentheses when highlighted in red sometimes, right? Just a convenient editing feature that DrRacket has. So now, with that out of the way, where do you go ask for help when you're really stumped, all right? So in the description below, I have linked the Racket Discord server that you can get on and ask for help, and get on the help channel, post your problem, and someone should hopefully be with you shortly, all right? Of course, before you do that, you should attempt to solve the problem on your own. And I want to go over 2 classifications of errors that will lead you to asking for help, right? One of which is something that we've already went over. It's the classic too many parentheses, right? Control R, and this will just crash, right? Too little parentheses, undo that, and missing parts and such, right? So let me just delete this last part, hit Control R, and we get if expected 2 parts, etc. All right, but found only 2 parts, right? This is where you would look at cheat sheets, you would look at documentation, and go, I need, the structure doesn't look 100% correct, and you would go back and fix it. All right. The second classification of errors are logic errors. Those are errors that don't really crash or crash until later, and they're more hard to figure out, like this one, for example. So before you ask for help on logic errors, here's a checklist of things that you should do. Talk out loud about the problem and where you're stuck. I know it sounds really silly, but it helps, all right? Because it activates different parts of your brain that are not present when you're, laser focused. Same with taking a break, do the dishes, go for a walk, get your mind off the problem, because you want to activate the creative parts of your brain, so to speak, right? So, again, with talking out loud, again, it helps, because as you talk out loud, you're like, yada, 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 yada. That doesn't sound right. And you go back and you revise your code, and that, usually helps. Let's say, you did both of these and you're still stuck. Well, you can use the stepper. So an error that a student made is they ran this code. They're expecting to get, hey there, handsome, Control R, right? But it's not working. And, they're stuck on this for, hours or half an hour or something. And they're like, I really don't get it. Well, you can use the step button right here, and it will run through line by line what's wrong, right? So let's see. Name is equal to James, and it's going to do the string equal. Does James equal James next? Right? And then it's going to be false. Why is this false? James. Oh. So at times you're really going to think that, this state is James like this, but you're really, really tired and your assumptions are just wrong. And that happens a lot when you're programming, believe me, right? So use the stepper, and if you did all these 3 steps and it still doesn't work, right, you're still really stuck, well, you can ask on Discord, all right, using this checklist. So in the next video, I'm going to go over the design recipe. That is a set of general steps to solve programming problems. And you should, copy and paste this to the Racket Discord right over here, right? Check off, which, let's say I'm stuck at step 3, right? You should post your code right below here and hit enter, and it'll send and ask everyone for help. And the tutors here they're not going to give you the answer to your homework problem or something, but they should be able to help and easily know where you're stuck in your reasoning if you post this sort of template that I will link on the website, all right? Right over here in the description, all right? And let's say you're overwhelmed, so as to what things are, you can click the check syntax button. So let me just do that really quick. Exit out of here. So let's say I don't know what name is. Like, let's say this is a really big code base. You can click check syntax, and it will point out arrows as to what things are, right? And this happens a lot when I'm learning things like math, for example. So I'd be like, the professor would say x is equal to 7. And then 1 hour later, right, the lecture keeps going on, and it's like, all right, now we're going to use x. And it's like, oh, crap, what did x equal again? And yeah, so that happens a lot. Just use check syntax to get used to what things are, right? And where things are. All right, so final recap for asking for help for errors that crash, right? Syntax errors and such. That is too many parentheses, too little parentheses, missing parts, and etc. Just spend a minute or so looking at cheat sheets and documentation, and just make sure things match structurally, and usually that can solve the error, right? If you're still stuck for a minute or so, just ask for help on Racket, the Discord server, because syntax errors are pretty easy to solve as you program more and more. And you're just going to have to learn these through exposure, right? So get on the Racket Discord, screenshot Racket, and just paste it in and ask for help. For logic errors, it's again a little more involved. Talk out loud about the problem, take a break, get your mind off the problem, go for a walk, use the stepper, and if all these don't work, then post your problem on the Discord while copying and pasting these set of steps, right? So I'm going to copy and paste this to the Racket Discord. And here, right? And right here where it says write your code, right? I'm going to copy and paste my problem like so. And just paste it down here. It has to be within these triple quotes. And this will just make things formatted more nicely, right? Like so. And there we go. All right? So I'm just going to delete this because I'm kind of bothering everyone since it's not really an issue that I have a problem with. All right? So there we go. You're not really going to bother people. It's fine. They'll just ignore you if you don't want to help. So that's about it, I think. Let me go back to my notes. If you're overwhelmed, use the check syntax button. If there's lots of code going on, lots of variables, lots of functions, use check syntax and it'll draw arrows and point to what things are. And again, you can right click. Let's see, right click and search in help desk, and that will bring up documentation that you can read to find out what things do, right? Lastly, that is, look around and read your comments. You have to be very sort of spatially looking outwards. Read your comments, read the docs, read cheat sheets, and get used to looking around you, not just like laser focused on one thing, all right? And lastly, I'll leave you with this last GIF that I find funny, because this is what people generally do when you're stuck on a problem. You're just gonna keep hitting it with your same mindset and it doesn't work. Just take a break if you're stuck for a while, because that's really better than just keeping to bash the problem, right? And that's about it for this one, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching, He-Man. If you wish to interact with more of your kind, join our Discord linked in the description or on screen. If you want to aid in my quest for world domination, consider hitting the sub button. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, thumbs down if you didn't. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, fire away below. Also, check out the annotations on screen for the next relevant video.